In this episode of Ask Captain Chris, we'll learn about locks. We'll be locking through over mountains, across states, from one river system to another.
Starboard neutral, both forward. Feel the wind grabbing the back of the boat. See out this little mess when we get up in the air. It's going to be different. See, the wind's affecting the far side, but it may not be the wind, it might be the water. Nope, he'll come out at the last minute. I see him at the far end. We're going to go in the middle. We're not going to go all the way to the end, because they're going to open that door and it's going to rush in. Okay?
Yeah, you got a tailwind. I'm going to give you the stern line first.
Understand, stern line first. Thank you. Both are neutral. Straight up is neutral. And this is the hard part. You just gotta wait. Gotta wait. Gotta wait.
Just about there.
Okay. Now we're just going to take a photo. Hi, I'm Captain Chris, and welcome to Locking. Come with us as we show you how to call a lock operator, open the doors, go into the lock, secure the boat safely to a sliding bollard or a pin, deploy the proper fingering system. The back doors will close. The lock will either raise or lower the water level. When that is complete, the lock master will open the exit doors, give you a signal to drive out, and then you'll continue your journey cruising America's Great Loop. Just keep in mind, if you can dock, you can lock. Let's look at this map of the United States. You can see we've got the two oceans and the Gulf of Mexico, and all of these are fed by freshwater rivers coming from Middle America, draining down to sea. We've got the Erie Canal in the New York State area that goes up and across the Appalachian Mountains down into the Great Lakes. Then we have the Great Lakes feeding the different rivers, the Mississippi River going downstream to New Orleans, the Ohio River, the Tennessee River, and then the Tombigbee River. All of these rivers are locked to provide controlled water depths for tugboat and barge traffic up and down through the river system. Even on the Pacific coast, up in the Seattle area, we still have locks locking from the ocean up into the freshwater lakes. So locks are an important part of America's commerce, our industry for coal, grain, foods, and fuels. And as pleasure boaters, we can share these locks with these commercial barge operators. This chart of the locks and dams on the Tennessee River shows the different elevations. The mouth of the river is to the far left at Paducah, Kentucky, and as you cruise upriver, you can see you have to go up different elevations through these different locks. They will allow the boat in, close the doors, flood the lock chamber until you're at the next pool level. Cruise on to the next lock. Again, go into the open doors, close the door, they'll flood the lock up to the next pool level and continue on up the river system. Also, the river system is marked in mile marker numbers. You can look at the Kentucky lock is at mile 22, Pickwick lock is at mile 207, Wheeler's at 275. You get the idea. You can do your trip planning based on how far these locks are apart from each other. So this is giving you a good idea of what the locks and dams do to keep the rivers deep enough water so that we can have both commercial boat traffic and pleasure boat traffic. This is a lock that's out of service for periodic maintenance. You can see the flat concrete floor in the bottom of the lock. You can see the doors at the far end. and the high water above the doors, and then a railroad bridge in the distance. Look at the catwalk on top of the doors and you can see two people on the far left side. Assume they're about 6 feet tall, so you can see how deep this lock is from water level all the way down to the concrete floor. And at the concrete floor, on the left side, you can see these pipe inlets or outlets. This is the way the chamber is flooded or drained if you're rising or falling. We're at idle, hovering actually, waiting for the locks to open the doors completely, and then for the lockmaster's approval for us to enter the lock. We're now in the lock. We fast forward this video and you can see that we're rising up. See the water stain on the left-hand wall, and we'll be rising, and when we come up to the water level of the pool on the far side, he will then open those doors and then we'll ease out into the higher pool. Notice the water stains on the doors at the end of the lock, so we still have a bit more to rise up until we equal the water level on the far side. Then we have to wait for the doors to open and then wait for the lockmaster to give us the signal to take off. Okay, we've got the signal. Let's cast off and head on out into the middle of the chamber and then on out into the higher pool. As we exit, you can see the lockmaster's offices on the right and the left. And very important, look at that traffic light on the upper left. That's a red light for any boat traffic coming into the lock, warning them not to enter because we are exiting. To flood the chamber, this lock is using underwater piping with turbulent water rushing into the lock, raising the water level. Because of the turbulence, the lockmaster will advise you where to tie your boat in the lock. That way you can better avoid the turbulence as the lock chamber is flooding or lowering. Not all locks are designed alike. This lock chamber uses the doors to open slightly to allow the water to flood into the chamber and equalize with the higher pool on the other side. Therefore, in this lock, you would want to secure your boat at the back of the lock to avoid the turbulence as best possible. I'd like to show you some things on this lock. First of all, they will not open those doors to allow the water to equalize inside the chamber. There's some debris at the bottom of the lock closure that's causing the water leakage. Next, you can see that solid concrete wall, which is called a sill, like a door sill, and then another 20 feet of the actual steel doors for the lock. So you can see the water line on the top of the yellow lock doors. That's how tall the water will rise in this lock before the doors open, and then you can motor on out of the lock. Now that the water has equalized, the lockmaster will open the doors, give you the signal, and you can idle on out of the lock into the next one, just a few hundred yards in front of you to the left. This lock and the next 4 locks are on the Erie Canal, showing how close together they are and rising about 40 feet each. This Tennessee River lock is a lot larger. It can accommodate multiple barges, sometimes as much as 2 wide and 3 long. On these smaller locks, the lockmaster sometimes may provide dock lines for you. Here you can see he keeps them high and dry so they won't be slimy when you reach out to grab them. No lockmaster is available on this side of the lock. It's easy enough for you to cast out your bow line, throw it across the cleat, and pull it back to secure it to the boat. As we look aft, you can see the large cleats, also called kevels, and then those large posts, also called bollards, and you can see the doors are closing behind the lock. Looking at the interior of a lock chamber, to the center of the photo you can see an emergency ladder. Should you fall overboard, that's the way you can climb up and out of the water. A little bit to the right, in those recessed areas in the concrete wall, you'll see pins. These are actually where you would tie your boat as the lock floods or lowers. And you can imagine that if you have to put your bow line or your stern line around that lower pin, as the water flooded the chamber, you would have to take it off of the lower pin and reposition it on the upper pin, and continue doing that all the way up until the water has completed filling the chamber, equalizing with the higher pool on the other side of the doors. Here is a better idea. These are called floating bollards. Inside that groove is a large metal buoyancy chamber, and it will float up or down depending on the water level in the lock. So as you come in with your boat, you can choose to tie onto the lower one or the upper one depending on your deck elevation, and then secure your boat to that bollard, and as the water changes level, they will slide up or down and your boat will go along with it. So this makes it a lot easier. You don't have to untie and retie to the standard pins that are recessed into the sides of the lock chamber. When possible, try to wrap your deck lines or dock lines around the floating bollard in a manner so they will not rub against the lock wall. You can see these shiny pieces of metal where dock lines have rubbed up and down in the past, and we're in a smaller pleasure boat with a smaller dock line. We don't want to chafe those and have those wear out and break. You can see this floating bollard, we had trouble getting our dock line wrapped around it because it was at or below deck level. So as fate has it, we wrapped our dock line around in wrong rotation, and you can see our red dock line is actually chafing against the metal lock wall. You can also see the boat rocking back and forth with the turbulence in the lock. As we flood the chamber, the floating bollard rises up higher and higher in the lock. The warning label on the top of this bollard shows the dangers that may be involved if the bollard jams and no longer moves. If the water is rising, your boat can tip over into the lock, or if the water is falling, your boat can tip over against the lock wall. That's why we like to carry a knife, just in case. We believe knives are personal equipment, so therefore if you've got a large hand like I do, you would want a large knife. Elisa's got a smaller hand, therefore a smaller knife. The most important thing to keep in mind is wear it, keep it with you, and buy one with a serrated edge. If you keep your knives in a locker on board the boat, that's not good enough because you may not be able to access them quickly. Okay, here we go. We've got the boat securely tied to the bollard. You can see that the boat is rising as the bollard floats up. We've got our knife in our pocket just in case, and you can see the boat rising against those horizontal marks on the lock wall. Now looking forward into the lock chamber, you can see all of the turbulent water. Of course you can hear it, and you can see the wet marks on the lock walls, so you can see how much further we have to rise before we equalize with the pool on the far end of the lock doors. So now you've come upon a lock. What's behind the door? Do they have fixed pins or floating bollards? Do they already have dock lines for your use? Or do you have to tie onto a cleat or a kevel once you get inside? More important, how do you even call the lockmaster? What radio channel would you use? 16, 13, or 14? That's why all of these cruising guides are available and fantastic information for you to use when planning your cruise. Okay, I'm looking at the lock and dam, and it looks like the lock is closed. It is. Okay, the lock is closed. Stand by. St. Lucie Lock, westbound trawler in position. We've arrived at this lock and discovered it's full of water. The lockmaster asks us to wait while he drains the lock, and when it is clear, the doors will open and he will signal for us to head into the chamber.
Captain, stand by for green.
Okay, the doors are opening. Joyce, can you see the doors are opening? Okay. See the lock to the far left with the White House and the flagpole.
Yes, okay.
I know this lockmaster handles lines.
So you're going in between the fence, in between those two red signs.
Yes, I'm headed straight towards the flagpole.
Okay.
So I'm traveling at about a 30-degree angle following these big pilings on the left. That's the route.
Okay.
And then when you get to that big wooden lattice work, that big wooden fence, that's called fenders, I'm going to steer right and go into the lock. And there'll be a traffic light up there, a red light or a green light. And the green light gives us the approval to go into the lock. And I still have a flashing red light. He's not ready for me yet. He's not going to call me on the radio. He will turn the light to green to allow me into the lock. And look at the wind. The wind's picked up on those flags.
So it's possibly going to push you to the left.
Correct.
You don't expect it.
I'm going to slow down because I still have a flashing red light. I know it's hard to see. You need the binoculars to see it.
Just turn green.
It's green now. I see the green. Okay. So here we go, guys. So now I've got to feel the wind. See the flagpoles? It's now kind of in my face, but it's going to come off my starboard side.
Have you an idea which line first?
Depends on what happens to the boat. You see the turbulence inside the lock chamber?
Say again?
See the turbulence in the lock chamber?
Yes.
The wind looks like it's behind us and to the right. I can feel it on the right side of the boat.
Alright, westbound trawler. We'll go ahead and give you a stern line first, Cap. I say again, stern line first. We got the tailwind pushing into the chamber.
Understand, stern line first, thank you. Stern line first.
Got it. So this gets a little...
I'm in neutral. Okay, watch where the lock master is. He'll stand where he wants my stern, and that's where he'll lower the stern line.
Okay.
And see all the green slime on the walls? That's how high we're going to lift up. So that's where he is. That's where the stern line's going to go. So now I'm using my engine, starboard and port, starboard and port. I'm steering with the engines only. I'm going to do both forward because the wind's push my stern around. Both neutral. And both reverse to slow us down.
St. Lucie lock, St. Lucie lock. Miss Cameron, eastbound. Needing a pass through.
Okay, so I've got the stern line. They're going tight. I'm in reverse. Neutral. Waiting for them to tell me what they're doing with the line. Stern's on, okay. Okay, I'm going to go forward with one engine. Forward with one engine. We'll stand by. When he closes the door, the wind will stop. When he closes the door behind us.
I want to get us more of a... It's not even a whole wrap, really.
Okay, we'll pull us over by hand so I don't have to use the engines.
Same as like back that last one. Okay, which way you
I'm
headed?
gonna go get the stern now.
Roger, we're heading eastbound into Stewart. Yeah, we got westbound as in chamber right now, Captain. Come on up, rear your fenders for a starboard tie. Roger that, we're prepping for starboard tie. We'll hold off until you tell us to enter. And see the green light. Alright, see you in a minute. Roger that, Miss Cameron standing by on 1-3.
Wait, secured. Okay, just stand by. He's going to close the back door.
We got one coming in, I think.
That's eastbound. We're westbound.
Oh yeah, it's here close.
Okay, hear the bells ringing.
Got dark.
Back door's almost closed. And watch, the front door is going to open. And then the water's going to come in. It's 14 feet tall. Watch the front door. Chuck, as that turbulence comes back, the boat's rising and the boat's going to start bucking, so we got to take the slack out of the lines.
So depending on the size of the traffic, how many they put in.
I need to run back up.
Pardon me?
Depending on the size of your boat and the amount of traffic depends on how many they put through
Right.
at a time.
They can only fit so many in here, size, length, and width. And Chuck, at some point when we're about 75% high, you have to take the rope and go under the port handrail.
Roger that.
Okay? And notice the ladders in the walls. See the ladders? So if you should fall overboard, climb up the ladder. See, this is why the boat's always dynamic. You need your engines on when you're locking up or locking down, because the elevations are changing, the lengths of the dock lines are changing, and you need the power of the engines, or if you had thrusters to actually help maneuver the boat. So my bow's getting close, so I need to bring my stern in. And
So
then
you're
I've got-
constantly adjusting.
Oh yes. Almost like flying a helicopter. We're hovering, except we're tethered to the locked wall. You can see all the foam in front of us. That's where the major turbulence is. We're experiencing minor turbulence. Now the boat's going backwards a little bit, so I have to bring it forward some.
So you really don't want to be up front
No, I don't want to be up front.
because you're bounced around all over the place.
Well, yes, true, and also the lockmaster would not open the door as fast or as severely. So we're the only boat in the chamber, and we're locked. Purposely, he put us at the rear of the lock, so we would avoid all the turbulence in the front of the lock.
Okay.
Okay, now that we're high enough, Joyce, I can see looks like about a 35 or 40 foot boat headed eastbound. Okay, they're going to swap. They're swapping the bow line. They're going to take it from across the port handrail to underneath the port handrail. They'll be doing that in a moment. Feel taller now?
Yeah.
And Chuck, you can see why our fenders are high against the rub rail.
Right. Just to see how what the angle of the stern is. Just forward, aft. So like this.
Good call, good call. Do you know how far we are from Stewart?
We are 9 miles.
Is it like easy?
Yeah. And we're 15 from the Atlantic Intercoastal Waterway.
Right. And then the Gulf Intercoastal's in front of us. It's about 140 miles in front of us.
Okay.
That next sign will have more details. Okay.
Opening the lock more, I see.
Yep, the door's getting wider and wider.
Increases the rate of flow. Or actually, it steadies the rate of flow now.
Look at that big boil up there. Goodness. Imagine if we were tied up there.
I'm thinking it's probably a good thing to leave a little more slack here at the bows so that we'll come away from the wall easier.
Well, we just got to feel it out
Okay.
because more turbulence is coming. And look, it just blew us out a little bit.
Oh, look at the eddies. And there's serious eddies going on right here. So we wanna wait until it's really open first of all.
Okay, good.
Are you ready for the stern?
I am.
Okay.
Let me know.
Stern's free.
Okay. Elise, push us out a little bit. Push us out. There you go, guys. Okay, we lifted 14 feet. Picture. Okay. Look at all the people taking our picture. Okay, guys, smile.
We don't wanna have the vendors hanging over on a big sock. They act like lions.
You got another boat eastbound. Be here in 5 minutes. That was painless.
Yeah.
Let's review what we just did. We called the lockmaster on the radio, in this case channel 13. He said that the lock chamber was full and had to let the water out down to our lower level. He opened the doors, gave us the green light, and then we moved into the lock. We already had our fenders deployed, in this case at our rub rail, which was the widest part of our boat. As we entered, we studied the flags flying over the lockmaster's office, and we were feeling the wind coming in off of our starboard side, the right side, and also astern of us. The lockmaster recognized that, and he suggested that he give us a stern line first. Note, we're using his lines, not our lines. He deployed the stern line first, and then the bow line. We secured the boat. He closed the doors behind us, and then started to flood the chamber by opening the doors in front of us. When that was complete, he opened the doors entirely, gave us the approval to depart, cast off our lines. We pushed the boat out from the wall a little bit. We don't have a bow thruster. and then we just powered into the middle of the lock and then on out into the St. Lucie River. It's that easy. If you can dock, you can lock. Now, stay tuned and we'll go into a large river lock where everything is a whole lot bigger. A lot of things that I want you to pay attention to with this film. First of all, there's a little boat off to the right of our boat near the dam on the right hand side of the screen. And then you'll see two locks, the larger one to the left and then the medium-sized dead ahead. We're going to go into the medium-sized lock. Other things to think about that you can't see and we always have difficulty seeing is the traffic light. So keep on looking for the traffic light. In this case, it's on the left-hand side of the lock that we will go into. So we have to watch for the traffic light go from red, which means do not enter, to yellow flashing, which means the lock master is preparing the lock for us, and then we have to wait for the green light before we can go in. Even after we see the green light, or if we don't see the green light, we have to wait for this.
That's a good long one, isn't it? That's me, right?
Green light, we go.
You hear him laughing at the horn?
Dude! Hey, our horn works.
It's pushing me right to left a little bit.
Yeah, the last couple of inches of water came out with the door.
Might be a little windage, but it's definitely got the rudder over.
Check your bow thruster, see if that'll help you.
How about I put them on?
Same deal, second pin, port side.
Try the same thing. It's worked so far.
Oh, look at these pins. They're beautiful.
Looks like they just painted them or replaced them.
And they're high. The last ones were low.
Yeah, I know. I saw you fighting it a little bit. How am I doing it, Cap?
Doing good. wind just
Yep,
grabbed us.
just caught.
Now the current's got the stern. Whoop.
What was that?
Got debris in the thruster. Stop it. We got debris in the thruster. Try to thrust through the opposite direction. Okay, now the correct direction. Okay, okay, back us up.
What do I do?
It's working. Okay, I got the pin.
Thank you.
Pull it in my hand. Okay, good. Thrust right. Okay, bring me back to the wall. I'm going to shift pins. I'm going to the lower pin. Okay, I'm secure.
Well done. Good.
Yep, we're good.
Liberty bell secure.
The
I heard that.
the high pin was a bad angle for the cleat.
It's too high.
Too high, yeah. Okay, crack the doors. Yay.
It's pretty reasonable. 6:30. 6:35.
6:30 p.m. We're just now exiting the lock. Yes, it was a long day. This was a training delivery, and we had to make sure that we could get to our destination before the end of the week. When you cruise on your own, remember it's pleasure boating, and you don't have to do these long days like we did on this trip.
Do I answer?
Okay, let me get you loose. Free. Now that we've got permission to leave the lock, we've thrust it away from the wall, headed into the center of the chamber, and now we're cruising out. Our advice is to leave your fenders deployed until you exit the entire locked chamber. You see me on the left-hand side in my floating thermal life jacket coat. I'm moving the fenders back a little bit so they won't bounce against the hull. The idea of leaving the fenders deployed until you clear the lock is in case for any reason you have to stop and the wind or the turbulent water forces you against the wall, they're already deployed. So that way you're prepared. Once you exit the lock, and if you go faster, you may want to pull the fenders up so they don't slap against the hull and jerk on the handrail. So let's talk about the fenders. Where do you put them? What do you do with them? This boat on the Erie Canal's got excellent example of all the different type of fenders available. Starting from the left hand, the stern side of the boat, you can see that orange round ball. Of course it's a ball. It's a heavy vinyl fender or bumper, large diameter, and it's a great fender. Problem is, where do you put it? Going to the right, you can next see the black one. These are called barrel fenders or cylinders. This is a hole through middle design, or HTM, where you put your dock line or your fender line through the middle of it. There's a tube going through the middle of the fender and you tie it at the bottom, usually with a giant washer to keep the rope from sliding through. So that's a barrel. Going to the right, now you'll see a white barrel, and it also has an eye on the end and an eye on the bottom end. So that way you tie your fender line or your dock line to the eyes. There is no hole through the middle. Going to the right, you see another barrel fender, and then on the bow you see a barrel fender with black ends. Obviously a different brand, but it's pulled up high onto the rub rail of the bow of the boat. Look at these 8 barrel fenders on the bow of this 53-foot boat on the Intercoastal. Where do you put them? First of all, make sure they're not tight. Soft enough that they'll fit into the fender racks. This boat's got 2 pair fender racks, 2 port and 2 starboard, and the other 4 fenders are stacked up on the bow right now, and then when we get time we'll actually carry those up to the fly bridge, the roof of the boat, so that we'll have plenty of walkway around the decks. So how do you secure the fenders to the boat? You can use clove hitches on the handrail, or a simple slip knot on the handrail, or maybe a clove hitch with 2 half hitches on the vertical stanchion supporting the handrail. All of these are sturdy and will withstand a lot of violence against the lock wall. Another design that we've seen is this canvas belt or strap. Goes around the handrail. It's got 2 grommets with the snap hook. You tie your fender into the snap hook, and then you've got the ability to adjust this fender right and left, fore and aft, sliding along the handrail to get it in the right position. Here's a newer design with a vinyl belt, twist lock on the back side, and most important, a very easily adjustable cam lock for the fender line. You can see here I'm using my finger to lower it an inch or 2 at a time, and just keep on lowering, 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 or if you need to, you can pull it back up. That way you don't have to learn how to tie good knots, clove hitches, or 2 half hitches. You can also see it'll slide right and left or forward and aft on the handrail. Our personal experience shows that you should keep these out of the sun when not in use. The vinyl for some reason just does not seem to hold up. This is our favorite fender hook. In fact, that's the brand name, Fender Hook. It's a stainless steel piece with a liner so you can slide it back and forth on your varnished handrail, and it's got a unique cam lock system on the top so you can raise and lower the fenders, again, without having to be good at tying any particular knot. Another terrific feature about this design is the gravity or the weight of the fender holds it in place on the handrail. Here you can see we're sliding it back and forth and not scratching or damaging the varnished handrail. And right by my left hand's knuckles you can also see the cam lock feature that will hold the fender line in place. Study this photo. Look at the handrail, varnished of course, and the fender hook in place, but it's also on a handrail that has a paneling below it, meaning there's no way you can wrap a rope or a dock line around the handrail to hold up the fender. So this fender hook truly acts like a hook on the top part of the handrail with a lip to keep it from falling off. The next terrific feature, of course, is you can adjust the fender up and down using the cam lock, and now you can see that we're going underneath the vinyl window on the aft deck of this boat. Because there are no cleats up high on the back of this boat, the fender hook is the best and only choice to use for holding a fender on this boat at the stern. You first see a large ball as the bow of the boat curves to the anchor. Then we've got other barrel fenders hanging vertically downward from the handrail. Some are tied with slip knots, some are tied with the vinyl strap loop. And then on the stern we've got the fender hook, again with a large diameter ball. Now you see it's in the lock against the chamber wall, and you can see that vertical line diagonally going up. That's our dock line securing the boat to the lock wall. The most important part about this shot is that our stern cleat is open and free to handle the dock line, and our fender line is secured to the fender hook, so that way we only have one line on the cleat. We don't have two interfering with each other.
Okay, the gates are almost open. You need to get up there now.
Since this is the last locking of this cruise, it's time that we go ahead and pick up everything and put it away. Now we can deflate those balls. We're finished with them.
Yep, absolutely. And they weigh nothing.
Now let's put everything away. You can see we've got fender racks, port and starboard, that will hold 2 fenders each. The good part is they're outside of the handrail, no longer a problem, giving us a lot more deck space. The bad part is if it's raining and we have to drive from the lower helm, they will obstruct our view. Another storage option, if you have space available, is this below deck locker on the bow of this catamaran. You can see the fender balls down there, and she's using a boat pole. Instead of getting on her knees and sticking her head in the hole, she's using a boat pole to grab the fender lines and to pull them up. Now that's a barrel fender coming out. These loopers have plenty of storage inside that locker. Now you can see her pulling up the next fender line, and coming out of the hole is a ball, a large diameter fender ball. After removing all of the fenders, the smart and safe thing to do, of course, would be to close the hatch so you don't step backwards into the hole. You can see she latches one hatch that way and uses the boat pole to slide the other hatch lock around. This is a no-no, or at least we advise against it. This is the lazarette, the stern locker at the end of the boat, also known as the rudder room. Look in here. You can see a blue ice chest jammed down there and a fender jammed down there. The more important things that I want to show you are the center top of the photograph is the tiller, or the rudder arm, and the top left is the ram, the hydraulic steering for the rudder arm. Then those 2 black arms to your left, one is the autopilot repeater that sends signals to the autopilot controller, and the other one is the rudder angle indicator repeater that sends a signal to your dashboard to show you which direction the rudder is pointed. On the far right, or actually the medium right of the photo, you can see a black cylinder. That is the autopilot hydraulic pump, and because it's a hydraulic pump, it's got hydraulic hoses. So we ask you to consider not jamming too much into this small space. If you reach down there with the boat pole with your hand, or you get a water hose or a dock line wrapped around any of these instruments, you can actually disable your boat. Let's talk about these inflatable fenders. This is obviously an inflatable ball. You can see Elise is holding it up. It's very light, and it inflates and deflates. Easy storage. Thinking about how light these inflatable fenders are, We prefer to secure them to the handrails on the bow of the boat just so the wind doesn't blow them around. Inflatable fenders are available in both balls and barrel or cylinders, and then of course all different sizes to fit the length of your boat. You can see these 4 barrel fenders, temporary storage on the aft deck of a 34-foot tug. We've got what the owner calls the big boys and the little girls. When we finish locking for this trip, they will all be deflated and stored away in a very small, compact area. Would you like to see how easy it is to inflate and deflate your fenders? Watch this. I'm using the foot pump from my dinghy, plugged it into the ball, and I'm pumping it up. Pump, 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 pump. It takes more than 20-25 pumps. And then when you get it full, you want to make it full but not tight. You want it to be full and soft, not full and tight like a basketball. If it's very tight, your boat will bounce off of the lock walls. You want it to absorb some of the impact when the boat swings against the wall. So by you see me bouncing it around, I was testing the thickness or the firmness of the inflation. Watch how easy it is to deflate. Just like a beach ball, push your finger into the hole, release the air, squeeze the air out of it, have to kneel on it a little bit, plug it closed so no water gets in it. Now I'm taking the second one, doing the same thing, letting all the air out, squeezing the air out, smashing it down with my knees, again putting the plug in it, and you can see how thin these are. When we stack them up, you'll notice that they're only 7 inches tall for both fender balls at the deflated position. Up till now, we've locked through all of the locks by ourselves. Now we're in high season. Everybody's eastbound on the Okeechobee Waterway. You can see we're entering the St. Lucie Lock. The water is full, or the lock is high. Once we locked through this, we will lower down 14 feet to the Atlantic Ocean sea level and continue on our cruise. There's 2 boats in front of us. You can't see the white boat, but you can see the second boat, the blue boat, and we'll come in right astern of him and tie up to the starboard wall. We already have our fenders deployed and our dock lines are ready. I hope you've been paying attention to our burgee on the bow of the boat, the white flag wiggling back and forth. Now look at the lockmaster's office and the tall flagpole with his 3 flags. So we've got to watch the wind and see how it will affect our boat as we come into the lock wall. As we get closer to the blue boat, you can look at his flags and to look across the top of the blue boat to the white boat in front of him and look at his flags. Now you see our burgee's gone limp because we're in the lee of the lock wall. We don't have that much wind to affect us right now. Now it picked up again. This is a good indicator of how much wind we have to deal with when locking the boat. Watch the lockmaster hand the line over to the bow. And now our bow is secure. He's walking to the stern, and I'll walk to the stern and catch that line also. Look at the empty space on the left side of the lock wall. Plenty of room for more boats. And here they come. The first light blue boat's got fenders deployed on his port side for the lock wall and on the starboard side in case he gets close to any boats already secured in the lock. Yes, they have.
We have a little bit of a forward surge here.
See how the boats are starting to move around? We're number 5 going out.
We're down even now?
Yeah, the doors are open.
Okay, I didn't get that word.
Last minute, so thank you. This video. You're welcome. We'll be up there.
Stand by. Let go of the bow. Stand by on the stern.
You want these lines in? Put it there for now. Okay. See what's going on there.
Alice, when you're ready on the stern.
Okay.
Does that mean okay, you ready?
Yes, go ahead. Is it free?
Free.
Okay.
I got a brownie down there for you when you catch it. Say it. I got a brownie down there for you when you catch it. Good, I appreciate it though. Okay.
You just saw one lock with 5 boats in it where the water level dropped 14 feet. The sea level door opened and we cruised out. Easy. Everything worked well. Went according to plan. Now you'll see 3 boats. We're the 3rd boat. 2 boats in front of us. They're going into the lock and we're raising 14 feet. You can see the boat directly in front of us where the gentleman has on a life jacket. Smart, good move, maybe not that comfortable, but he's single-handing. He's got 2 fender balls, and then his dock lines are vertical, diagonal, and his boat's about 10 feet away from the wall. He's struggling to keep the boat straight. This lock in Great Bridge, Virginia, shows a sailboat that got away. I don't know the whole story, but somehow they could not get tied to the wall. So you can see that there's a stern line going to the right-hand wall, and then the lock master, being a gentleman, is trying to pull the sailboat backwards against the lock wall. It's a little embarrassing, and we just ask you to plan your event before you enter into the lock and have your schedule worked out with your deckhand so that you get it right the first time. Keep in mind, he's aiming for the right-hand wall, but he did come close to some boats tied on the left-hand wall, so you should have fenders on both sides of your boat to protect you from a runaway boat in a lock.
Okay. And my official number is 641095.
Sometimes you may lock through with a commercial boat. Be aware of his prop wash. Wait for him to settle down before you enter the lock. and chances are you may exit the lock first to get away from his prop wash.
Seth D. Kevin, go ahead and put it in the 4-bed, put it on the guide wall. Roger, about halfway down. Roger. Halfway down the long wall. Gotcha. Thank you, Harvey. We'll see how this go around. Alright, Cap, y'all have a good one.
We're at the Harvey Lock, the Gulf Intercoastal Waterway, mile marker 0, in New Orleans on the Mississippi River. You've heard a lot of radio chatter, and you've heard one horn or whistle blast from the lock. That means beware. Something's coming out of the lock. Stand by and watch. You'll see a barge and a tugboat coming out of the lock, eastbound into the Mississippi River, turn downriver, and go underneath the Greater New Orleans Bridge, headed towards the city of New Orleans. While you're at home watching this episode, watch this long, slow event of this barge and tugboat coming out of the lock. I want you to understand, if you're on board your boat waiting to go into the lock, you have to be aware of everything around you. Shallow water, sandbars, floating debris, other boats, eddy currents, reverse currents, losing your position in line to go into the lock. You have to be aware of everything that's going on. So while you're waiting for him to clear the lock, you also have to be aware of everything else around you. Just be patient, give him plenty of elbow space because you know he needs it. As you get closer to larger industrial areas with a lot of tug and barge traffic, think about your schedule. If you're planning to anchor or dock late in the evening, a lock like this with a large tugboat and barge may knock you off your schedule 1 or 2 hours. So try to figure out what the traffic is, the commercial traffic is, and make sure that you allow enough time in your trip plan, in your day, so that you'll get somewhere safely before dark. Well, I hope we've taken the mystery out of locking for you. As you've seen on this episode, it is easy. There are things that you have to be aware of. Use your cruising guides, learn the radio channels that the lockmasters use, prepare your fenders or your bumpers in the proper locations, have your deckhands ready with the dock lines. When the lockmaster gives you permission to enter the lock, go in, secure the boat. The lockmaster will close the back doors. He will flood or lower the water in the chamber, open the front doors, and wait. Wait for permission for you to exit the lock, and then go on about your cruise. Remember, if you can dock your boat, you can lock your boat. If you have any questions, ask Captain Chris. We still have 5 feet more to go. See, at some point we're going to have to go under the handrail. Get down there. Yeah. Elise, you're going to have to move it under the handrail soon.
Let me get the stern and then I'll do this one next.
Okay.
I want it tighter again, right?
Yep.
Lucy Lock, same Lucy Lock. Sending vessel full circle.
Eastbound boat, see him up ahead?
This is Lucy Lock, back good. What's your opening going east? We are locking our west, and I have a vessel in the chamber locking westbound, so eastbound will be next. Thank you, stand by. Alright, Kevin, I'll give you a green light when you're clear to enter, and you'll be coming in on the starboard side wall. Alright, that's starboard side.
Still got quite a bit of turbulence. Not yet. Wait for him to tell us. All right. Bow first. Yep, she's got it. Not yet. Okay, stern line. See the bow swinging out? So I haven't done anything. I'm letting the current, the incoming current, move my bow out. Now, when I take off, I'm going to use my port engine forward, and it's going to veer me to the right. Okay. See how I'm going out? And then my rudders are midship, my port is forward, my starboard's forward. And now I have to give myself a little bit of power because you see all the velocity up there? See, it's already moving me to the left wall. So hold on because it's going to get real weird up here.
What that looks like?
Looks like me. Now I got to go hard left, now hard right because we're in an eddy pool. Easy as 1, 2, 3.